What is up, everybody? Welcome to The Stack. I'm Alex.
I'm Justin.
I'm Pete.
And on The Stack, we talk about so many comics that have come out this
Too
week.
many comics.
Too many. No such thing. Because we're going to kick it off with Daredevil #1 from Marvel, written by Saladin, Ahmed, art by Aaron Kuder. I can already tell what Pete's opinion is. He thinks, he gives it his seal of approval.
Wow, slam.
Wow.
Why do we even talk when we could just applaud in different rates?
Yeah. There we go. We would get through this much more quickly if we just applauded instead of opinions. This is picking up off of Chip Zdarsky and Marco Cicchetto's run. They, as usual with Daredevil, left Daredevil in a tough place. In this case, Daredevil didn't have his memory. He was a priest, but still had his abilities. Elektra is Daredevil, and that's what we're picking up here in this new run. What'd you guys think about this? It's always an interesting thing when you get into a new run of Daredevil, pretty much since Bryan Michael Bendis and Alex Maleev, right, left it off where they were like, and we ruined everything, enjoy. That's kind of the status quo here. How'd you feel about this first issue?
Finally, a Daredevil that is done with all the superheroics and focusing on the Catholicism.
Yeah.
Daredevil, I've always
Hard
wanted.
religion.
Hard
Get
religion.
into it. Yeah.
Which it leads me to, I like this issue. There's some great artistic choices. There's a great just visual display of possession here that I thought was really cool. I like what's being set up here. But there's a transition that happens. Great. Pete and I, same page, same LePage. There's a transition that happens here where I feel like I've always read Daredevil and been like, that guy is very religious and that's a character trait of his. But it's not asking, Daredevil has never been asking me to sort of get on board with religion. And this book was the first where I felt like, oh, I feel like we're so in it that it's sort of being like, you agree with this, right? Or it's like, you're on board with this, right? And it's a subtle change, but it's definitely one that I was like, ooh, this is getting me a little, I'm less interested in that.
Oh,
Well, I don't think, I hear what you're saying, Justin. I do think we're leaning into his religious background here because he is going full on priest mode status. But
that's what they call it.
I don't think it was kind of like, hey, you should.
By the way, I don't know
religion.
sports that much. When a sports player like gets down on one knee, that's called going priest mode, right?
Yeah, gets down on one knee, like.
Way to bring up maybe the most controversial thing.
I didn't think.
Oh,
honestly,
that's not
you're
what I was talking about at all.
I think he means when someone takes a knee on the field, like downs the ball, to end the play. To go into like the half.
I'll edit out that part so there's no confusion from the audience. Go ahead.
Yeah. Anyways, I think it's one of those things where, I mean, we do lean more on the religion of this, and that's because he is a priest in this. That's where we find him. I really do like the leaning on, if Matt's just a priest, what does that mean for everybody else? You know what I mean? So I really liked the Elektra in this. Sometimes Elektra is a little bit darker, sometimes more possessed, but here she's like financially backing Matt's dreams and kind of being his trying to help him. And it what's interesting about it is, like, sometimes you're like, oh, this is just comics or whatever, but the idea that she puts forth is this interesting one of like, he earned this kind of choice. Like, he died, I thought he was gone, and he's trying to live this separate life, which I thought was an interesting kind of thing of like, I'm just going to hang back and let somebody have their happy ending, even though that maybe I have feelings for them or whatever. I thought it was a really cool choice that they made with Elektra. I also I agree with Justin. The kind of like the fights with the devil was so interesting, especially with the way it was drawn and the whole possession thing. I thought it was just so creative and cool. We've seen so many different fights. It's just anytime you get something new and fresh.
Yeah.
But of course, the art's super type bananas. I mean, just really
I was going to say, I will read literally anything that Aaron Kuder draws. He is one of my favorite working artists right now.
Agreed.
And to the point you were saying, Pete, he draws the hell out of Elektra, even more than the Matt Murdock sequences. There's something about, like, there's a thing where she's crouching on the rooftop and he shoots it, you know what I mean, from like an up angle that I thought was stunning. There's one where she's jumping through the air and the black of her costume fades into the night sky. Stunning again. And like you guys are saying, this villain here who possesses, spoiler, Elektra at a certain point, the way that it's drawn physically is so cool. Disturbing and interesting. Love all of that. But Justin, I'm kind of on your side here in terms of like, I want this to be a bigger swing. To get into spoilers, by the end of the issue, Matt has his memories back. He knows he's Daredevil. He's still a priest, but he's basically back to status quo pretty much, and he has a new enemy to face. I wish they had sat in this moment longer. I wish they had sat in like he has no memory, change it, change his cast, change everything, take those big wild swings where you're like, yo, this isn't Daredevil that I know at all. That's, I think, the best place that you can go with Daredevil versus this is really interesting. I like Saladin Ahmed, very good, really solid writer. Aaron Kuder, gorgeous art. But I want to see where this is going in the long term. How is this going to be different from what I've read before?
Well, I would say it definitely does that because he's not Daredevil. You know what I mean? Elektra's Daredevil, and he's a priest. That's a very different direction than it's ever been.
My priest is Daredevil. I don't know about you guys.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I just want to see
cool religion, bro.
I just want to see Foggy in the tower, like ringing the bells and screaming.
You're right.
Sexually.
Where's Foggy? Good point, Justin. It's
playing the organ.
Foggy Moto.
Foggy Moto. Let's go. I agree with you, though, Alex. Just one last thing on the more serious side. Like, I feel like I don't understand what Matt Murdock, the priest, is. What does he think about his life? He has no memories, but he doesn't have a gap. Do they have another life in its place? It's very unclear. And then suddenly he's like, I remember you. We used to date, but you dress like a devil. I'll never do that. I'm doing that in 3 pages. And like, I don't know what prompted all these decisions because I don't really know this new character. So to have him changing so quickly is a bit fast.
Why don't we move on to another number one, Batman and Robin number one from DC Comics, written by Joshua Williamson, art by Simone Di Meo. This issue, or the idea of the series, is that Damian and Bruce move back in together, and Bruce is going to legit try to be a dad to his dick little son. And
come on, dude.
Yes, no, it's complimentary. Complimentary.
No, Dick is the other son. Dick is the other son.
There we go. What'd you guys think about this one? They fight a bunch of animal creatures and some bad things happen to Batman by the end of the issue.
Yeah.
How'd you feel about this?
I thought this was a great first issue, really a lot of fun. I really like what they're setting up here. Crazy last panel. But I like this kind of odd couple dynamic having to live together, kind of awkwardness and the fun that kind of ensues with that. This is a fun relationship to lean into. I'm glad we're kind of putting them in one place to see what happens. So I think it's a solid first ish.
Yeah, I like this relationship. I like that they're sort of taking it seriously. It's very much played only on the superheroic side, the Damian Bruce relationship. So I like that they are living together. They're having to be with each other. I like the page that's Damian's like comic book that he's working on.
Yeah,
I thought was really cool. The art is really interesting. It's very like neon.
Can I just say, and I hesitate to say this because we like to be very positive about things, I didn't like the art of this book.
Get out of here with that.
I found it very hard to tell what was going on at certain points. It was so exaggerated. The inks felt very flat to me. I liked the story, but that was a real barrier for me in terms of reading this issue.
I get that. It's a bit busy and like you're saying, flat, not a ton of depth to it. But I like it, though. It like the color palette is just very different, and it doesn't, because it all has this sort of, it's less light and dark. There's just color all the time, so I think it's a little harder to walk through. But it's just, I think it's just a different style because it's very slick in another way.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Killmore, number one from IDW, written by Scott Bryan Wilson, art by Max Alan Fuchs. We had the team on the show a few weeks back, and we talked to them about this book. So go back and listen to the live show. If you didn't, they answered a lot of questions about this first issue that now you can know since the issue is out there. This takes place in an unspecified time in the future in a city that has been left behind by the space industry. And in its place, a bunch of serial killers have taken residence and are running amok because there's not enough cops, there's not enough firefighters, there's not enough literally anybody to take care of anything. We're following two detectives who team up to try to figure out exactly what's going on. And meanwhile, we're meeting a bunch of serial killers at the same time. I love this book. So many big, wild swings in here. What did you guys think?
Yeah, I agreed. I mean, we said a lot about the book in the series, or in the interview, but on the reread, this feels like a regular people Mortal Kombat. They're all serial killers. They look like, except the serial killers have an advantage. They have some much better finishing moves, like driving a car for the first serial killer we meet.
Yeah, Ethel.
But this book is brutal. It's fun. It is. There's a lot of interesting mythology that seems like it's boiling underneath it. So definitely into this.
This is very scary. I mean, a very kind of like a scary idea kind of brought to fruition here in a very interesting, cool way. It's, I mean, even the guy who's just kind of like, being interrogated, it's so freaky. Like there's this
giraffe.
The giraffe guy.
That's so
just
funny. Like
he's not funny.
No,
he murders a ton of people.
He's not funny. The scenes are funny. The way that they describe the scenes and the way the scenes are played out, they're played for comedy. And I thought they were hilarious.
He's funny. Comedy book. Comedy murder.
Man. Who's real quick, who's the funniest serial killer? Pete, you go first.
I know you have a top 10, Pete, but just give us
I don't know, top 3 or something like that.
Anyway,
where's Dahmer on
the art in this is really great. It's really great. And this is just a really scary idea of like maybe a twisted future or something of like, but man, just well executed idea in all the right ways.
Cool.
Nice.
Alligator Loki, #1 from Marvel, written by Alyssa Wong, art by Bob Quinn. This is collecting the digital series. So you're getting a bunch of short, silent stories, very similar to the It's Jeff issue that was released a while ago.
Yeah.
Except here we're getting with Alligator Loki, who is a alternate universe version of Loki.
Loki, just so adorable, so much fun. I think this was great, and also we get a lot of Loki adventures for in this comic. They kind of jammed a bunch of stories in here, which is great. You get to see a lot. You get your money's worth. I mean, this is cute art to perfection and kind of really played out. More, please. What a great team on this.
Is this your favorite Loki, Pete?
I would say so. Yeah, I love Alligator Loki.
I found it interesting how much Thor tolerates Alligator Loki, because
he does
Thor
that in real life too.
I did really like the bit of Alligator Loki constantly biting Thor and getting little bite marks all over his body.
This is hard. It's a harsh bite from the alligator. Really fun art though. Great strip. Great comedy, fun strip.
Yeah, I also think I'll just throw out there, It's Jeff is a book that my son, my 9-year-old, was super, super into, loved, because it's very easy, it's very accessible, it's very cute. And I heard or had seen online from a lot of retailers that they're like, hey, you need to make more of these books. They are actually bringing kids into stores. And I think that's what Alligator Loki is aimed at as well. This is easily accessible to children to get into stores. More of this, please.
Yeah, they're already doing a season 3 that's coming out December 8th on the Marvel Unlimited.
On the other end of the spectrum, we've got Batman Gargoyle of Gotham #1. Yeah! Comics by Rafael I'm My Own Grandpa. This is a...
What?
I don't know. Futurama reference. Don't worry about it. This is a Batman mystery drawn by Rafael Grampá. So you know what you're getting.
What?
Oh, yeah. What?
No, I don't know. I thought this was like across the plate. Rafael Grampá's art is awesome. And the story itself is like, yes, this is a Batman story where some dark things happen and he's solving some mysteries. And There's like a proto Joker type character that he's going up against, and it's fine. Like, it's a good story, but there's nothing groundbreaking necessarily.
Go fuck yourself with this. Go fuck yourself. This is a ton of fun. This is just like this kind of very artistic.
I'm not saying it in a bad way. I'm saying it's a showcase for Rafael Grampá's art.
Alex hates Grandpa.
Yeah,
I do.
All right. First off, some serious epic covers in here. We also have this cool idea of the noir edition that's all black and white with some color splattered in for effect, which I really loved.
I knew you would love that.
This is kind of this cool take on Gotham. We've seen Gotham be scary. We've seen dark. This is just a little bit of a tweak on it. And I think it's just such it's intense, it's crazy, it's creepy, it's interesting. I just think that there's an audience for this. I think it's a little left of center, and I think that is cool and unique. And why not, when you have an amazing artist, why not kind of lean into that style and kind of go down that rabbit hole with that artist to explore a little bit of a different take on something that we know very well. And I'm sorry if this artist hurt you at a con or something, Alex, but please don't take that
I like the book. It's a gorgeous looking book.
It is gorgeous.
It is a gorgeous book, and in addition to that, a couple things that I think do make it special. The layouts and panels and just perspectives are amazing. We get a lot of there's this great page. It's just sort of like Commissioner Gordon getting up and going about his business, which I thought was cool. There's just great moments throughout. And then there's this story piece that's running through it that Batman's like, I'm ready to kill Bruce Wayne. Bruce Wayne is dying now. And Alfred's like, hey, don't do that. And that's something that I haven't seen, or at least not as aggressively stated. And so I sort of like the idea that this is a Batman story where Batman is fully committing to the life. It's a younger Batman, I believe, as well. While at the same time hitting a villain that is horrifying. And Batman gets his ass kicked in the entire issue.
Yeah, it's also very clearly like a Disney-inspired villain, which is interesting. So that's kind of running through things as well. I'm not quite sure what the idea there is, but visually, it's
I don't know. I didn't get Disney, but I just think there's
literally like Disney characters running through there. But
for the villain was
the
creepy.
Crytoons.
Yeah. The villain was super creepy in a lot of different ways.
Super creep bananas.
Yeah. I can't say enough cool things about this.
I feel like I really threw you
against
this, Pete. I'm sorry.
the negative fucking attitude that you're putting out there.
This is the worst book I've ever read in my entire life.
God.
I am going to go into comic book stores. I'm going to burn this comic, and I'm going to replace it with
You got to buy it first.
Alligator Loki, my favorite comic.
Batman was created when Joe Chill killed his parents. Pete's Batman was created when Alex shit on this Batman book. And
I didn't even shit on it. I said I liked it. And it's gorgeous.
Declared vengeance. It's
beautiful.
On all
if you want to
Alex's
see some beautiful
everywhere.
art. Beautiful art with a fine story. From the world of minor threats, the alternates #1 from Dark Horse Comics, written by Patton Oswalt, Jordan Blum, Tim Seeley, art by Christopher Mitten, Ian Herring, and Tess Fowler. This is, per the title, spinning off of the miniseries Minor Threats, which is set in a new superhero universe where villains and heroes are just kind of part of the fabric of the world. I don't know that there's necessarily like a concrete premise for this world per se, other than a tone of a little more focus on the villains as people who are just trying to do their jobs like everybody else. So what we're getting here is entirely new characters, all part of a support group. There's some stuff going on and going down that happened in the past where basically like they were part of a crossover, and during the crossover they went to another dimension and lived entire lives there. You know how this goes if you ever read comics before. And now they're dealing with that in different ways, and potentially some of that stuff is coming back for them. I didn't know what to expect from this. I thought this was going to be like an anthology book. It's not that. It's a new miniseries, and I thought it was great.
I agree. This is really cool. I like this universe. It's a lot of packed in the original series. A ton was packed into it. And this feels the same way. It reminds me a lot of Black Hammer If you're a Black Hammer fan and want sort of that's coming to the end, literally in the current arc titled "The End," if you want to jump onto a universe in the same vein that's just starting, I think this is a good comic to jump into.
Yeah, this is, I really think it's like a tripped out adventure of a good time here. I really like this book. I mean, I could have done without the licking blood vampire / wolf sex party that happened, but other than that, I thought it was a
doing
fun...
that for Halloween.
Yeah.
Hey, that's what you're doing?
Yeah, Pete, take off your headphones for a second. Justin, we're going to have to change his birthday party. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, you don't think we should do it now?
For his birthday party. We should not do that.
The naked licking sex party for Pete's birthday.
Yeah, we should.
That's what I think. I think he's gonna like it because it's.
You think he's gonna like it anyway? Like
he doesn't like it because it's in the comic.
Right.
He doesn't like it because in the comic. In real life, he's gonna love it.
He's gonna love it.
Anyways, I thought this was very cool and creative, and I'm looking forward to the next issue.
I muted his mic. Is that how that works?
I muted his brain.
Star Trek Picard's Academy #1 from IDW, written by Sam Maggs, art by Ornella Greco. This is, per the title, going back to Picard's Academy days when he don't need nobody and he doesn't need nothing. He's just a loner who's trying to get out of Academy and get to space, and he's sparring. He's sparring with the other guy. He's #2 in his class. He's not even #1. Come on. This is the Picard This is a younger Picard who's mixing it up with a bunch of young folks. Just try not to party and not have a good time.
Well, it's very funny that all of the captains, basically, on all of the Star Trek TV series, who are the most like measured, like let's just hear out the science and deal with this potential conflict. They're all were like brash psychopaths when they were in the academy. And that's true in Next Generation. Like there's an episode where Picard got in this fight and almost died, I think, and sort of had to protect this other person because it was a bar fight and all this and that. So like it tracks. It's just very funny to me that all of these characters are so reasonable, yet they were absolute wild cards.
Yeah, I mean, this, first off, I love the tone that the art puts forward. It's kind of a lighter take on Star Trek, which is nice, kind of a different, fresh perspective on something we've seen a bunch of. But yeah, I appreciated Picard's dedication to his goals. I was a little heartbroken that he didn't realize somebody was enjoying his company, and he completely ignored that. I thought that was a little bit of a dick move, but
he's brash.
I did appreciate this as a #1, and hopefully a start to some fun stuff.
Yeah, this doesn't quite track for me with Picard, the character that we know.
Yeah,
but forgetting that, like if it wasn't Picard, I would love this. This is like a perfect animated series pilot. That's what the art feels like. That's what the setup feels like. You have a great, perfect setup of the cast here. Super into this. I again, other than like the little bit of a disconnect in terms of how we know Jean-Luc Picard from watching Next Gen and seeing him here, really, really fun. I had a good time. Let's talk about Creepshow, Volume 2, #1 from Image Comics, written by Garth Ennis.
Yikes!
Phil Hester. Art by Becky Cloonan and Phil Hester. This is 2 stories of spooky weirdness, and that's all it is. Right, guys?
Yeah, no underpinning larger takes and issues to deal with here. I mean, this is the Volume 2, #1, so launching the book. And Garth Ennis comes out with one of the biggest, hard-hitting, topical, horrifying stories dealing with anti-abortionists and like this horrible situation, gun control. Like, so it's a wild swing. It's crazy. They were like, "Yeah, Garth, why don't you kick this off? Perfect choice. This will definitely get people." And this is not slagging off the story because I thought it was good. It's just goes so hard the entire time.
Just to give like a little bit of backstory here, we were in Baltimore Comic-Con this past weekend, and Sunday morning when you were coming down, I woke up a little early and I was like, okay, I'll read some of the comics for the week. And the first one that I read was Creepshow at like 6 o'clock in the morning, and I read this and I was like, yikes! Oh like my god, what's
strong
happening?
Cup of coffee.
Yeah, and then you pretty much first thing when we saw each other at the table, we were like, "Oh my god, I read that Creepshow thing."
Read it on the train.
And then we talked to Tora Gromback, who is good friends with Garth, and Garth Ennis was sharing a table, and we were like, "Hey, tell Garth we read this really messed up story," and she's like, "Oh, I know, it's really
she read the script and was like, "Yo, this is crazy in the script form."
But like, to be fair to it, and to be clear it goes hard on anti-abortionists in exactly the way that you should be going hard on them.
Yeah.
Like it digs in. It is something that like does not hold back in any way. It's not arch in the way that Garth Ennis can sometimes be, where it feels like a little removed sometimes. This is like full-fledged, throws you into it, and it's also such a total disconnect with Phil Hester, who I really like, but then you get his thingers like, "Ooh, it's a spooky coffin," and you're like, "All right, this is you are going for two very different things here."
Though I will say the Phil Hester story ends with a corpse mom bone tongue kissing her son to death, so that also goes pretty hard.
Yes. Do you want to say anything about this, Pete?
I think we covered it.
All right, let's move on to maybe my favorite issue of the week, Avengers Inc. #1 from Marvel, written by Al Ewing, art by Leonard Kirk. This is a title that it's not immediately obvious is spinning out of the work that Al Ewing has done both on the Ant-Man and Wasp anniversary series, but it becomes abundantly clear as you're reading that that's exactly what's going on. And also, the premise of the comic isn't really revealed until the end here. I do want to spoil it because I think it's such a great selling point for the book. We're following the Wasp as she's investigating a weird mystery where 6 different criminals, superpowered criminals, have been killed in prison in locked rooms all at the same time. They don't know how it happens. She gets called in by Luke Cage to try to solve the mystery because one of them is Whirlwind, a person who has stalked her and tried to kill her multiple times. And as she tries to solve it, weirder things happen, like the bodies come back to life. One of them gets inhabited by the human aspect of the Vision, or seemingly so.
Yeah.
And so a lot of weirdness going on here, but the setup at the end is it seems like what they're going to be doing is done in one mysteries every issue while having this overarching mystery of what's going on with the bodies. And the team is the Wasp out of costume, with Luke Cage, Jarvis, and this Proto-Vision, who is in human form, all hanging out at a bar above Avengers Tower. Love it. Like, it feels to me like the sort of big, wild swings that Marvel should be taking all the time. It feels like it's not as hardcore, but it feels to me a little bit like the Human Target book out of DC. Same sort of like 60s swagger to it. If that's what they're going for, I am 100% on board. And then after that, there is an epilogue with a huge reveal. Huge. Yeah. Like enormous reveal of a character who is coming back that changes everything. So again, I love this book. Pick it up. I didn't know what to expect from the title, but I was 100% sold by the end.
I agree with you. This was a fun read. I love the idea of this book. I definitely want to have this type of comic all across both Marvel and DC, of just like interesting one-off stories with an overarching mystery. One thing this made me think is like Luke Cage's Mayor. Where's that book? Where's the Mark Russell written Luke Cage as Mayor book that's like comedy, but also like dealing with some real issues, political issues? I would love that. Let's go.
Yeah, I agree with Justin. I think this is cool. I'm interested to see what's going to happen. This is an amazing team. The art's super tight bananas, and more Luke Cage.
Yeah, totally agree with that. I love Luke Cage as a mayor. That is such a great position for him. More of that. Great idea. World's Finest, Teen Titans #3 from DC Comics, written by Mark Waid, art by Emanuela Lupacchino. In this issue, the Titans are heading to Titans Con, a convention all about them. Robin has been told not to go by Batman, but the rest of the team goes. It predictably goes terribly wrong, and then Robin kind of has to pull him out of a jam. We talked to Mark Waid about that, not this issue, but this title a little bit this weekend. So that was fun. So look forward to that interview and podcast. But what did you guys think about this issue?
Okay, yeah, I think it's like Mark Waid. If Mark Waid's the writer in this and he's saying like the heroes go to a con and get overwhelmed, I mean, I feel like it's Mark Waid being like, hey, you guys need to calm down when you're at my table, okay? Because it can get a little overwhelming and I need you to chill the fuck out a little bit, But other than that, I thought it was fun to see kind of Robin like sulking by Batman, like, it could be at a con right now, but I got to be here. And he was like, yeah, that's right, Robin, you do. It's hard when your dad grounds you and you want to be somewhere cool, so I definitely related to that. And I don't care what Mark Waid thinks. I think cons are a lot of fun. So,
wow.
Weird review.
Weird
Justin,
takeaway.
over to
that's
you.
what happens when I go first. You know what I mean?
All right.
Put the weird up front, like a horse walking backwards. The part here that I, coming off of a con, being at a con and reading this was really fun. It's the sort of the best version of it. So that part was nice. I like this. This is very much like the Titans as like the Beatles, I felt like, sort of help them running around. And I think that specifically because there's a reference on the first page. This is Fab, it's Gear, both Fab and Gear, which is a line, I think a George Harrison line from Help. So I think that's the overall thing Mark Waid was going for.
I didn't know you were a Beatles head, bro.
Hey, I know. I do the research, Pete.
Oh.
I don't just flip through the books and call it a day. I'm up all night diving through the archive. I'm in the basement for a reason, surrounded by comic books. But the art in this is very good. And like we talk about, Mark Waid just knows what he's doing and seems very targeted with his comic book writing choices.
Hexagon Bridge, #1 from Image Comics by Richard Blake. Now, this book is about a hexagon bridge, and there's a bunch of stuff going on. Pete, I want to turn it over to you because I was surprised to hear, I think this is one of your favorite issues of the week.
That is correct. It's worth it for the art alone. This is such a unique, interesting, artistic book. There's weird kind of tripped out things dissolving and all sorts of craziness happening. I loved it so much. It felt so unique. We read a lot of comics all the time. So when you get something like this in the stack, it's so different. It sticks out. It's so bright and colorful and so artistically led. It really kind of blows you away. So I was just so happy for this to be in our stack because of how different it feels and how unique. I can't recommend this enough.
It is very different. I don't quite know what's happening, per Alex's point. With the book's broken up.
You don't always have to know.
I know. It's not a criticism. Because I think the book is going to tell us it's written very confidently. Like Pete's saying, the art is really cool, detailed, and floaty, I guess is a good way of saying it. The connection, despite Pete saying there's nothing like this reminded me a lot of Madeleine L'Engle's A Wrinkle in Time. I feel like that's maybe the underlying vibe we're getting here.
Well, it also looks like a Mobius
The book's
book.
not the movie.
Yeah,
Mobius.
It looks like a Mobius book a little bit. It looks a little bit like the Incal and stuff like that.
And you're not saying that in a derogatory way or in a negative
No.
way.
It's no Gargoyle of Gotham. It's not like at that low level of absolute shit quality.
Oh my
It's very
God.
funny.
Dude, you're lucky we're not in person right now, you fucking piece of shit.
See, he waited. He's been holding this opinion for so long. It's funny. Pete loves grandmas and Alex hates grandpas.
Yeah, I also don't. To be clear, I thought that was a good book. I thought Gargoyle of Gotham was good. My God. House of Slaughter, which is what this podcast is turning into.
Yeah.
From Boom Studios, art by Sam Johns, art by Letizia Catanici. In this arc, we are following one of the younger members of the House of Slaughter, who is a kid with no arms, but that's okay because he can kick lots of ass. He is staying with what would you say, foster home, I guess is what it is, and trying to figure out where the monster is, who is controlling the monster, because that's the whole point of the House of Slaughter. This is great. This is another really good, solid arc here in this issue. What I really loved about it in particular is we're diving into the emotional state of this main character, which I don't think we've got much of before. And I thought that was really, really well done and got me very involved in the story.
Yeah. Plus the art super type bananas, and it's just so creative and cool. I mean, you take something that's normally such a fun kind of toy. They have this kind of like cutout of kind of like one person, and then you kind of string it open, and it's all these kind of people holding hands, and they make it evil and creepy in this
Paper
comic,
dolls.
the paper dolls. So like, just super impressed with the art in this, but also just the kind of character dive we get in this book. There is so much going on. I love when the confidence of a book to kind of pause things and just kind of spend some time on one aspect and really dive deep. So yeah, love the story, love all the creepiness and all the action in this issue. Just really impressive what they're doing with this House of Slaughter book.
Great kids being kids mixed with kids being monster murderers. That's a great combination. I like the paper dolls as well, Pete, as sort of the demonic monster sidekick for our guy here. What would your childhood toy that a demon inhabited have been, guys?
For me, it would be a little R2-D2 figure that I buried in the sand for a while, so all of his decals got rubbed off. So it was just like this pale little.
You were scared of R2-D2 when you were a kid?
Terrified.
You had to bury him. He's so sassy.
Beeps and boobs? No thanks.
Yeah. What's that guy talking about?
Wow.
Yeah. Pete, what type of banana would you have inhabited a demon with?
Yeah, I mean, I had like a bunch of
it's banana. It's super tight.
Action figures that I would kind of like always carry with me and stuff like that when I was little. So probably one of those.
What action figures were they?
It was He-Man, Star Wars, Transformers, G.I. Joe, that kind of stuff.
So you kind of diffuse among a
split up the demon.
Yeah, split up the demon.
Ram Man.
Oh yeah, Ram Man was there.
Yeah.
Justin.
What's toy? Probably. I think a blanket. I had a blanket when I was a kid, and
did you stop short of saying blankie there? You were like, oh,
no. Blanket. What did you call your blanket?
I really only called it blanket. I didn't have a cool name.
My brother called his blanket Nunny.
And that's cute.
Wow.
I wish I had a dumber name for it, but it really blanket. And then I honestly let it go a little. My parents were like, "You're done with this?" I was like, "Yeah, I don't need a blanket."
My brother kept Nunny until it was literally like a shred of thread, and we were like, "You need to let go of this. You need to put this away." And that was last year. He's in his 40s.
Yeah. There's a lot of people who really hold on to that stuff.
Yep.
I speak that from experience.
You know, I'm worried about how you treat your family on this podcast. Now you throw them under the bus constantly for biz. Yeah, I know. I hope they never listen, because I think a part of them would die inside just hearing the way you talk about them.
I mean,
watch out.
Let's not get into my family dynamics. But
watch out, Alex, because moms can start listening at any time.
Oh,
and so can other members of the family. This is just out on the internet. I don't know if you know that. It's not just
what? We post this? Why? Werewolf by Night #1 from Marvel, written by Derek Landy, art by Fran Galan. If you love the Werewolf by Night special on Disney Plus, if you love the relationship between Werewolf by Night and Alison Bledstone, get ready, because a year later, here's this comic.
Hey, come on, dude.
Alex slamming the release
still
schedule.
Streaming. It's not like it's
I know.
just
I'm sorry.
away.
This is a weird week for Marvel, because they're like, did you like Werewolf by Night last year? Here's this. Did you like Alligator Loki 2 years ago? Guess what? Now we have a comic.
It takes a while to make comics.
Also, they released Star Wars Obi-Wan Kenobi, the direct adaptation of Obi-Wan Kenobi, which, again, a year ago at this point.
I mean, that is weird. I agree with you.
That's all.
But this comic,
it's not fun. You shitting on the thing we're trying to hold up and talk about, and be like, comics are great. And
that's a fair critique.
Fucking bullshit.
Yeah, but it's not. He's not saying that. It is weird that because this book, content-wise, is very much. It's not the same story as the Werewolf by Night special, but it's right next door to it, and it's good. But this is the kind of thing I think we talk about a lot. If Marvel and DC want to really get readers in who are watching their shows, I would put this out the week after, or like a little bit after.
Same week.
The numbers are probably not there. Otherwise, they would be doing it.
Well, to put it out now seems like this may be this is a good book, I think. But it's not in support of anything, and the time is so far away, it doesn't really make a ton.
Yeah, it's the sort of thing, what I'm saying is that if you watched Werewolf by Night on Disney Plus and you loved it and went to the store and you're like, hey, you got any Werewolf by Night things? They're like, sure, man, we got the stuff from the 70s that seems totally unrelated and still good, mind you. But versus having this book, which the art by Fran Galan is great, the colors are great. Werewolf by Night is in black and white, while Elsa Bloodstone is very much, I know we don't say his name anymore, but very much the Warren Ellis, Elsa Bloodstone from Next Wave. And she's in color the entire time, so I love that dichotomy going on there. The story by Derek Landy is very fun. There's a ridiculous demon fight that happens in here, so very enjoyable. But anybody, even if there were like 5 people who watched Werewolf by Night on Disney Plus were like, I'd like to read a comic about this, they're not coming back a year later to check out that thing. That is not happening. And I think I would chalk that up to, I don't think that's Marvel's fault. I think that's probably Disney's fault in terms of not caring about or coordinating with Marvel at all. And this stuff would be my guess.
Well, whatever. We got a cool book, and I think that I love I'm a sucker for the will they, won't they, and I think they do a great job of that. I also think the art style is really fun, like you were talking about with the black and white versus color. Really great character designs. Love the King of Wolves and Bloodstone here. I think the art tone makes it a little bit lighter, whereas the show is definitely like a very kind of old school kind of horror noir. So I thought this was kind of a lighter, funner take. So yeah, I enjoyed it, and I wasn't mad about years of scheduling or any other thing.
I'm mad. I'm mad as hell, and I'm not going to take it anymore.
Wow!
But this is a good book with good art.
Yeah, I can't believe they got Pete, a person who would read comics anyway. Superman Lost, number 6 from DC Comics, written by Priest, art by Carlo Pagulian. This is continuing the story of Superman was gone for, at this point, I think 20 years? Something like that.
Long. That's
Oh
crazy.
my God. He has been on this planet called Newark that he named, and he met a Green Lantern who he's hanging out with, and it seems like they have some sort of flirtation thing going on, potentially.
Yeah.
And it's all building to a crescendo where he wants to leave this planet because he wants to get home, but can't leave them because he can't let them die. And they are in a very similar situation to Krypton. We're also getting little scenes of a completely traumatized Superman back at home talking to Batman, among other things. This comic is becoming harder and harder to read every issue, but in exactly the right way. The emotion is there. The art is there. I love the moves they make with the Green Lantern in this issue as well. What do you guys think about this?
I like a lot of what you just said, the emotionality. I like the reveal we have here about the Green Lantern. I like the Superman in the outfit and the stuff that he's sort of going through. But the world is so complicated. Like, it's called Newark. There's all these people. I want Superman to be more lost. I want him to just be like a little bit more lost rather than like embroiled in the politics of this planet that I feel like he's going to leave and never come back to, or he'll come back and save them. But it's not like this planet is a big future story. So it feels, I wish we were focusing more on Superman being adrift, being caught up in different one-off adventures, a bit more like the Tom King Supergirl series, but with Superman and feeling all the same emotionality that you're talking about, Alex, but just a little more out there.
I enjoyed this. I thought it was a kind of a interesting story of Superman lost in space. I really love the use of the yellow in his cape. I thought that was such a cool kind of way to kind of save the day a little bit there,
and real quick to explain that, he finds out that this Green Lantern sort of found her ring, and so it was the ring where it still had the yellow flaw in it before the rings were upgraded years ago. So he sort of gets that, sees it, and then uses the yellow bit of his cape to punch through the construct, which, to your point, Pete, it was very cool.
Yeah, it was great. And then also, like, I thought it was unbelievable last panel. Really kind of crazy, kind of grab you at the end there.
Great book. Coda number 1 from Boom Studios, written by Simon Spurrier, art by Mateus Bergara. This is a wild fantasy world where a lot of things are going on. I love the art in this book, but what did you guys think about the story?
Yeah, I thought this was like a crazy issue just all this kind of like gods stuff, and like showing up and dying, and then like stepping on them like a bug. The unicorn stuff was absolutely amazing, and so kind of like badass in such an unexpected, cool way. Yeah, I was really kind of impressed with the overall creativity that was going on in this, and the kind of different takes of stuff. Yeah, a lot going on, but man, yeah, I loved it. I'm really looking forward to more. I felt like this was a really strong first issue.
There's some underlying emotional connection between the two main characters, I think, who are in a relationship but are maybe drifting apart. They remind me a bit of Saga in a good way. And then otherwise, this book could be taking place on the fringes of Adventure Time in the land of Ooh. I feel like it is like a little bit more grown up version of that, where a bunch of nonsense happens, but it's played for fun, and the characters are just like, hey, can I just figure this one thing out? Let me get my unicorn back. Something we all wish we had, right, guys?
Oh, yeah. Badass unicorn, yeah.
Venom number 25 from Marvel, written by Al Ewing, art by Sergio Davila and Sean Parsons and Ken Lashley, Kafu and Julius Ota. In this issue, Dr. Doom and Eddie Brock are punching the crap out of each other throughout
Classic
time.
Pals. Doc Doom, Vendog, hanging and banging.
I mean,
hanging and banging.
I don't know if I'd say that. They are... This is tying into some big continuity stuff that's been going on with Venom, who doesn't have, Eddie Brock, who doesn't have the Venom suit anymore. He has a different suit. Venom is still kind of there in other capacities. There's this whole King in Black stuff going on. So that part, if you haven't been following along, is kind of a deep dive, but it sort of doesn't matter because at its base, it's Venom and Doctor Doom fighting over a time platform throughout various time periods, which is very fun.
It is fun, and I like this. I buy into the Venom stuff about, half the time. When it gets too goopy and a little too, self-serious about the mythology, it loses me a little, but this feels like it's right in the sweet spot, dealing with that, but also eating some brains. There's a great section where Eddie's talking to a younger Peter Parker. He's like, hey, man, I've tasted brains. It's fucked up, and I thought that was really funny. There's some references here to, I think, Slaughterhouse-5 by Kurt Vonnegut early on. There's a Rosebud 2 reference, so there's some larger literature being referenced in a fun way. The Kang stuff, I also forgot that Kang and Venom are like buddies too. Like, it's just such a weird hang in this issue.
Yeah, there's a lot going on. This is an oversized issue, and they pack a ton in there. But I love Doom. Doom was great in this. You get a lot of time with Doom, which is
awesome. A Doom issue, really. It's a Doom Venom team up.
You're in the Doom room here. There's a lot going on, I just think.
Boom.
Yeah, I just think this is an action-packed issue, and this Al Ewing guy is all over this stack.
Yeah.
What I would say about it is one of my favorite shows of all time is HBO's The Leftovers. It ended far too soon, but the cast was incredible, particularly Carrie Coon, who you can find right here in the Doom Room. Yeah. Let's move on to Danger Street, number 9 from DC Comics, written by Tom King, art by Jorge
You really
Fornes.
got me with that one.
Jorge Fornes. Now, I have been pretty down on the series. I know, Pete, you've really been enjoying Dr. Fate's helmet yelling at people and going back and forth about a bunch of stuff. In this issue, the entire issue is taken up with Guardian and Manhunter fighting on a rooftop. This is a masterpiece. This
is the issue that I feel like the whole series is built around. Telling that Dr. Fate's helmet, nowhere in sight. Pete, you must be disappointed. But this is just...
thought I was going to be, because I was like, hell yeah, Danger Street, let's go. And then I was
let's talk helmet.
What? But then after I was reading it, I was like, this is epic.
I mean, this is the award-winning issue of this series. Like, this is the one. It's just a great verbal sparring between two sort of random characters, if I may. Like they're not.
How
I don't know if
dare
these
you.
two. This isn't everyone's favorite Manhunter. The Guardian. This isn't like, wow, that's the Guardian I go to bat for. So like it really feels like because they're just sort of regular heroes / villains, that falls away, and it's about the nature of fights, in any capacity, and domination, what it means to win, how these people sort of fall in love with their verbal fight as opposed and don't really want to kill each other, even though well, I won't spoil what happens, but it's great. This is just like you said, Alex, a masterpiece top to bottom.
Yeah, I mean the chess that is happening here is there's many levels to it, and it's really impressive what's going on and how they kind of kept it all going. I just once there's a lot of moments in here where like, okay, well this is probably nope. Oh wow, okay, yeah. It just the twists and turns, and yeah, I just was blown away, super impressed. You gotta fucking check this fucking thing out, man. I mean,
this is what's running through my head whenever we podcast.
Wait, what is
it?
Sparring.
Sparring.
It's like that. Yeah.
Okay.
It's one reference that I'll throw out. It's very similar to the Inigo Montoya Man in Black fight from Princess Bride.
Yeah.
But much more serious.
Yeah. It's completely different.
Yes, completely different, except exactly the same. St. John #1 from Dark Horse Comics, written by Dan Skadke. Yeah, there we go.
Wow.
And Brendan Wagner. I don't know why that's holding me up. Art by Dan Skadke. Skaddy?
A lot of consonants right in a row, I think.
Yeah, it's SCHKADE.
I don't know why I'm having a problem with that name.
Yeah.
I think my brain's broken from this podcast. Anyway, this is some sort of branded something that I probably should have looked into, but it is about a Portland superhero who always knows where to go and the news reporter who is investigating him. Given the branded whatever that was going on here, I was like,
Portland Gear.
Portland
Gear
Gear
presents.
I was like, prove it to me. And then they proved it to me. I really like this book.
They did. Yeah, they won us over. Yeah, I really thought this was a fun ish. I love the art style. It kind of brought a levity to it. I like the kind of superhero back and forth with this reporter. Yeah, an interesting power set that kind of gets more curious as the issue goes on. I think they did a great job of setting things up and getting you interested for more. Solid first issue.
Just good vibes. This superhero is pure positivity.
Yeah,
Nothing gets him down. I thought there was going to be a twist where something bad was happening or he was somehow up to something. But nope, just a genuine good dude who always knows when to show up and help any random person with almost any task.
Yeah, it's a cool power.
Keep comics weird, man. Keep comics weird. Astonishing Iceman #2 from Marvel, written by Steve Orlando, art by Vincenzo Caruto. In this issue, Iceman is literally barely holding it together as he is fighting various elemental enemies. What'd you guys think about this?
I mean, this continues to be really great. Steve Orlando is just killing it right now. He's an unbelievable writer, dealing with Iceman, dealing with a lot. Fun book, though. I love that even though he's going through a bunch of stuff, he still kind of brings the lightness to whatever he's doing. So, yeah, I felt like, there's some nice layers to this, and the art style really kind of reflects all of it in a great way. So I enjoyed it.
There's a lot of complicated ideas here, but in a book that really plays simply, it's about a relationship, it's about sort of death, it's just about like superheroes fighting each other. It's sort of exists next to the Fall of X crossover or event, I should say, but it spins out of that and lets Iceman be be the victim of that, while at the same time having a fun it might end up being almost an epilogue to what was going on with Iceman's life before this.
Green Lantern #3 from DC Comics, written by Jeremy Adams and Philip Kennedy Johnson, art by Zermanico and Montos. The front story is dealing with Hal Jordan, who has a Green Lantern ring, but it's a different Green Lantern ring. We're not 100% sure what's going on with it. Also, Sinestro is back without a ring, but recruiting some allies anyway for some unknown reason. And the backup story is all about John Stewart, or at least an alternate universe version of John Stewart leading into our version of John Stewart that is itself going to lead into the Green Lantern War Journal series that is going to be coming up very soon. My big takeaway from this is not only do I really love this Green Lantern series, it is very frustrating to me that it was interrupted by the Night Terrors event, that you had 2 super strong issues and then we had to wait 2 months to get issue 3. I was like, lost a little bit of that momentum. Pete, very mad at me for saying literally anything about publishing schedules and how they affect.
First off, Night Terrors was a great event, so sorry fun was delayed, but sometimes for big events, sometimes they put a parade down your street and you got to wait, you know what I mean? So, that's life.
Mm-hmm. All I'm saying is I would have preferred, if you're going to do an event or a crossover, it's always very annoying to me when it happens in like the 2nd or 3rd issue, because it interrupts the momentum there. Yes, I find it annoying. That's my opinion.
There's an event going on.
So where were we? Parades, great, or absolute bullshit? These 2 commentators will win.
There's this fun event going on, and I got
to. Well, how about this? Let's say this. Like, you're like, I just moved into my house. I love my new house. And then a parade immediately comes through your house as soon as you say that. Wouldn't you prefer the parade comes after you set up all of your furniture and everything? And really
that's the thing about parades. You know what I mean? They happen and you got to deal with it. You know what I mean? You got to be like, oh man, well, at least life is fun,
Great. At least life is fun.
Oh yeah, that's, if there's anybody on this podcast who loves the phrase, who believes in the phrase "life is fun," it's definitely you.
I don't know what you mean by that.
Hold on a second. We haven't seen each other for like 4 years. We see each other, so I feel crazy saying this, but you guys have spent too much time together. Because you're at each other's throats about something that is absolutely fine. Like,
that's what my whole point is. It's fine.
Yeah, but you're yelling at him also in a way where I'm like, it's also fine on your end to be like, yeah, it was annoying that this other thing happened in the middle. Something you've been annoyed at in your life constantly.
That's true. Sure. Yeah. Anyways, Ryan Reynolds is Green Lantern here. I love the Sinestro stuff.
What the fuck are you talking about?
love the King Shark eating guards. That's always fun. The human juice is a great line as well.
He's a bad guy.
Yeah. I think this was a great looking book and really a fun issue.
It's hard to reinvent Hal Jordan, Green Lantern, and Sinestro, but this book's doing it from another angle. Like, I like the way it's being played a lot through Carol, and sort of the way Hal is like, I wish I was still with you. And she's like, it's not happening. But he's still around her. They're still like sort of working together. They're still dealing with the issues they had when they were more closely tied. So that's really interesting. And then with the Sinestro of it all, I feel like he's been sort of slowly walking toward Hal in these first 2. And then we had this fucking parade in the middle. And then now this 3rd issue. And it's great. The last page of this issue, of the front story, was really cool. And the backstory, we talked to Philip Kennedy Johnson at Baltimore Comic-Con, the con that broke up Alex and Pete, famously. And he is so excited for his series that spins out of this backup, Green Lantern War Journal, that is coming soon.
Yeah, it is.
I Hate Fairyland, number 9 from Image Comics, written by Scotty Young, art by Brett Bean, picking up at the cliffhanger of the last issue, where it certainly looked like Gert got fried by Duncan's dragon fire. Spoiler, she didn't. It was just Duncan imagining it, but something crazy happens to Gert anyway. Yeah. I thought this was another very fun issue of a very fun series. Justin, I know you're not as high on this one, but Pete, What did you think?
Oh, well, thank you, Alex. I completely agree with you, as per usual. I think this is just continues to be a blast, an absolute blast. It's cute madness, and I love it. The story keeps getting weirder and more unique as it goes. The twists and turns are a ton of fun. It's a very unique and special book, and the art and the writing are just absolutely next level. It's an absolute joyride.
I would say this should be an animated series, but I don't know where it would ever air.
Adult Swim, probably.
Adult Swim, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if they could even air a lot of this stuff.
Yeah, they do some pretty fucked up shit.
Sure they do, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, Damn Them All, number 8 from Boom Studios, written by Simon Spurrier, art by Charlie Adlard. This is about a...
yeah, good luck.
Well, there's a lot of stuff going on.
I'm
trying to avoid saying this is basically like a female Constantine going on adventures because you got very mad at me the last time when I said that.
Yeah, because it's a bullshit thing to say.
That's exactly what this book is.
It is, but the plot, I think that's a good comparison. But the plot focuses on this sort of female Constantine dealing with the ghost of her mentor, trying to find her way in the world, a world where demons are very much a part of it, and people.
Yeah, there's a drawer full of goblins that pop out. I mean, come on.
She's got a dog demon that's pretty chill and fun and likes to take baths, which is fun.
I mean, who doesn't like a nice bath? If you have the time for it, you know what I mean.
Treat yourself.
You like a bath? You take a bath. Well, how many times do you take a bath in a week?
Yeah. How many candles do you put on? Light when you
put on.
Where you mean, Alex? You mean put on?
You start with one candle and you sort of put the flame on the bottom of the other one.
All right.
And then you stick it to your body until you're covered with candles.
Anyways, it's a very kind of fucked up but very cool story. It's impressive and continues to be great.
Yeah,
I like this book a lot.
I just want to ask a question again. When you're taking the bath and you're doing Candleman, the thing where you put candles all over your body.
Candleman. Don't say that 3 times.
What do you say? What do you usually say? Do you say the flesh is wax, or how do you say it?
I say Zelbin is a figment of my imagination, and he does not exist in real life.
Oh, that's why I show up at that point, right?
Yeah.
Candleman. I really like this book. I think it's great dialogue, and if you like Constantine or any of that type of book, this is the Vertigo book specifically. This is a great sort of inheritor of that sort of tone.
Children of the Vault, number 2 from Marvel, written by Dennis Camp, art by Luca Maresca. In this issue, Bishop and Cable are continuing to fight against the children who everybody loves. They're everybody's favorite super team, while they hate all the mutants. And only Bishop and Cable know that they have created a mind virus that is going to wipe out all of humanity in 6 months. We love the Dennis Camp. We're enrolling in summer camp. What do you guys think about this one?
This is my favorite X book of the week. I like this. I like Dennis Camp. I like the way that he writes these characters. Great to see Cable and Bishop back out there together again for the millionth time since they traveled forward through time and fought an epic battle for a tiny baby hope. But this feels like a sort of a Thunderboltsy take on these bad guys. And we are setting up for next issue for a big old fight.
Yeah, I really liked kind of the setup for the next issue for sure. Yeah, I mean, the kind of hammer move was really fun in this as well. Yeah, this continues to be weird, but also interesting.
Keep X-Men weird. That's what I always say. Something Epic, number 5 from Image Comics by Sesmon Kondratsky. In this issue, we are more firmly establishing that our main character was not imagining anything his entire life. In fact, he's something called an epic, somebody who has a powerful imagination that can help heal and change imaginary creatures. There's different forces vying for his power, good forces and bad forces, and that's what we explore a little bit, is this imaginary world where these imaginary creations live. I expressed some concerns / reservations about this direction last issue, which I don't remember whether you guys shared or not, but how did you feel about this one?
I think I agreed with you a little bit. I liked the first couple issues where we were dealing with larger ideas of creativity and sort of some higher-minded stuff, and now we're getting fully into a Ready Player One-esque mythology underlying this main character. I hope that we can rebalance a little bit and get some of those larger ideas back into it, and it doesn't just become this sort of a little bit of a boilerplate story that we've heard, because it started out so strong and so different.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It got a little weird for me on this issue, but I do think it continues to be interesting enough that I will check it out. We got the kind of mother of all creations here, which is interesting. But yeah, there was little parts where I was a little kind of lost.
Yeah, I think he made a decision to, there's this thing happening in like the first 3 issues of, is it real? Is it not real? And ultimately he went for the surprising decision of, it's real. It's all real. It's actually happening. And in my mind, like kind of like what you were saying, Justin, that's the less interesting decision. But I don't know. The art's still really good, and there is still a lot of exploration about creativity and what it means. So I think it's still worth following. Let's check out the next issue and see what happens. Murder Inc. Jagger Rose, #5 from Dark Horse Comics, written by Bryan Michael Bendis, art by Michael Avon Oeming. Jagger Rose has become the queen of all mafia and is dealing with the repercussions of that in this issue, as well as some double dealing from one of the worst people alive, the President of the United States. And not the good one who was singing about peaches in a can and everything, the bad one.
Yeah.
Right?
Definitely. Yeah, that's the political reference people understand. Millions of peaches. Peaches for free.
For me.
Bendis is a fantastic dialogue writer. The plot of this is fun. It keeps moving. The layouts that Michael Avon Oeming are really interesting and different. His art style is very specific and it's unique. If you like it, this is like fantastically drawn. So it's a good book in this very specific world.
Yeah, I agree. It's there is a lot of fighting and also a lot of talking, and I'm not sure what's happening all the time, but I'm having a great time.
X-Men Red, #15 from Marvel, written by Al Ewing. Once again, art by Yildiray Cinar. In this issue, we're continuing the story of the Arakko Civil War as Storm is leading the fight to stop Genesis, aka Lady Apocalypse, from taking over the planet. There's a big twist as the end here, the tie back to the X of Swords storyline. I know we were kind of mixed about the previous issue of this. How'd you feel about this one?
All right. Well, I'll go first.
You have to go first on some of these X books too.
Okay, so it opens up with that fucked up brain kid chained to a wall. Creepy start, bruh. Amazing giant monster. Great design of that, and then Storm throws a water dagger through its fucking brain, and you see through its mouth, which is just totally insane. There's a lot going on, but I thought like this was an interesting issue. I didn't hate it as much, but then we kind of got the kind of call back to the swords action with the last panel there. So very interesting. See what's going on.
The high compliment from Pete. I wish this book was a little bit more focused on Storm rather than sort of the disparate Arakko political sitch. Great badass work when she does come on the page, but also great art. Just need a little bit more clarity in what's going on.
So would you say if the comics are rockoing, don't come a knockoing?
Wow.
Yeah, that's wow. You took the words right out of my mouth. My sick brain.
Mech Cadets, #2 from Boom Studios, written by Greg Pak, art by Takeshi Miyazawa. This is continuing the story of these kids who power these mech suits. They're in space currently fighting some aliens to try to save another alien in direct defiance of the orders given to them. There is a page at the end here that like hit me in the heart a little bit. You know, I don't know about you guys, but I continue to be very impressed by this series. Like, this is very cliche elevated is what I would say about it. Like, you're getting these very anime tropes, but as usual, Greg Pak is figuring out a very emotional and grounded and interesting way to get into it. The art is really good and the designs are really good, both of the aliens and the mech suits. I'm very into this.
Yeah, just so you know, it's pronounced Pak. I think that this is very enjoyable. I love all the action. The kind of daughter angle is very cool and great. There's a lot of heart. I love the giants and robot monsters. Oh my! This is just this is a blast, and Greg is absolutely killing this.
It's pronounced Grieg. This is sort of like Power Rangers meets Transformers meets Starcom, an animated show that was on when I was in like the mid '90s, and that's fun.
I think it also kind of feels a little bit like Voltron on Netflix.
It kind of feels actually another Netflix series that I would mention that it feels very close to is Mech Cadets. The Enfeld Gang Massacre #2 from Image Comics, written by Chris Condon, art by Jacob Phillips. This is a back-in-time Western story tying into That Texas Blood. And in this issue, it is an absolute goddamn massacre as the law in town comes directly for the Enfeld Gang, who, in this case, is probably blameless for the murder that they are being accused of, but it is a bloody mess in terms of what goes down here as things escalate extremely quickly. Justin, I want to turn it for you. I know this is one of your favorite issues of the week.
I love this book. It's great. Just Western gunfight happening through the whole thing. It's based on actual events in real history. That makes it more tragic and gives it a little bit extra dimension. The art is fantastic. That Texas Blood is one of my favorite books. This, by the same team, is really extending just their work into another era. Give me more. Give me more.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, I just think it's very unique and interesting as far as like a lot of cool layers. Like it opens up, you got those old timey ads, in the front, and then like we get this kind of dream sequence, and then it's like you got blood, and it's not my blood, and then you get the kind of flashback to this giant fight that gets out of hand, and then you get the dynamite going off, and the fun kind of onomatopoeia action. So yeah, there's a really lot of great stuff to love in this, and it does not disappoint for sure. The colors, the art, just really impressive.
X-Force #44 from Marvel, written by Benjamin Percy, art by Robert Gill. In this issue, we're dealing with the fallout of the last issue, picking up and maybe catching up a little bit after the Hellfire Gala, when most of X-Force was taken by Colossus's evil brother, Mikhail Rasputin, who is making some big moves here, while Domino and Sage are trying to track down the rest of the team, among other things going on. What'd you all think about this?
What do you all think about this?
Yeah, you make me go first again.
No, I'll go first here. Okay, I like this book as well. Oh. This was probably my second favorite book of the X book of the week.
Okay, all right.
It's back. It's sort of like really. There's a lot of continuity here that is built into this, and the Fall of X sort of just is slotting in. We're mostly dealing with their previous continuity, the whole Mikhail Colossus thing. I want that to be. I want them to beat him, to beat Mikhail, and have Joel Mikhail. I want Colossus to be back. I want Domino to be back in this team and have everything just moving on forward into the larger Fall of X story.
If you ever fight Joel Mikhail, just, as one weakness, soup.
Yeah,
ironically. Yeah.
It's like Krypton is ironically Superman's.
Exactly. It's the same thing.
It's not just the soup, though. You got to talk about the soup, and that's what really gets him.
No, it eventually was just called the soup, so it's okay.
Well, that's
fun.
Agree to disagree.
Pete's more of an originalist when it comes to talk soup.
Anyway, so it's Domino Park Groot. Anyway, yeah, so you got like Evil Bro 1 and Evil Bro 2 here, and I agree with Justin. We want things to get back to being good again, and all this madness to be over.
This is good. I like that it's good.
The art's great. I'll tell you that much. But a lot going down, and
Robot Wolverine.
Yeah, not a fan.
Why?
Because I like my.
You
Wolverine.
like robots and you like Wolverine.
First off, I don't like robots that much. And
secondly, just for the listener, Pete looked over his shoulder like there's a robot behind him.
There's robots everywhere, man.
I know.
Well, here's something about a robot right now, man.
Yeah.
Here's something that'll bring you guys together. Alex hates robots, specifically R2-D2 that he buried in the sand.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. Disgusting.
Because he was scared.
What are we talking about? Dark Ride number 8
Whoa,
from
you got,
Image
I had
Comics.
a question, though.
You had a question, yes.
Yeah, is Domino part Groot? She has a Groot arm?
She seems to be wearing Krakoa gate stuff on her arm is what I think is going on, or replaced her arm or something like that. I started reading X-Force with issue 43, so I'm not 100% sure.
Domino was very badly injured in an X-Force mission, and
doesn't seem very lucky.
Yes, I think her luck ran out. Black Tom Cassidy feels like sort of the Doctor, and he is very much connected to, his powers go through wood, and he's connected to Krakoa. So I think that arm was built for her.
Okay, there you go. Dark Ride number 8 from Image Comics, written by Joshua Williamson, art by Andre Bresson. So this has been following a spooky, evil, demonic theme park, and the son and daughter of the founder of the theme park. We've been plumbing through the mysteries, as the son in particular has been teaming up with a woman whose brother disappeared and we know was sacrificed to the demons at the theme park. I think it's been a while since the last issue of this. So when we get in here and the two main characters are fighting a horde of demons based on the main character, they're like, oh my God, we got to take care of these demons. I felt like I missed something, because I feel like the first 7 issues, they're like, what's going on in this spooky theme park? What's happening? This seems supernatural, potentially, and strange. And this issue, like, shit, there's 30 of them. We have to kill them. And it just escalated, not to say the same thing again, but like it escalated so quickly in this issue to the point where everybody is like, not, is there something crazy here? But there is something crazy.
When the crazy starts attacking you, you know what I mean? Like jumping through the walls and stuff.
Well, but it's not even like the costume characters. It's like ghosts of the costume characters are attacking them, and they know that it's going to kill his wife and all of these other things. So, well, I don't mind it. It's just like, it was a big leap.
It's issue 8, bro. You know what I mean? Like, we've been building this for 7 issues.
Yes.
But to me, that's a little bit the point of what Alex is saying. The comic has been very much saying, like, is this real, or is this just like these people are crazy and like this is like a cult situation and they worship this like demon mascot? And then in issue they sort of very aggressively put their foot down, like, no, this is a bunch of demons and they're coming for you right now. So it is a swing, a big pendulum swing in one direction. But I like it. I think this book is great. I love this team from the Birthright comic that I've talked about, I think, my entire life.
Yeah, I think most of your life you've been talking about that since birth. All right!
Right?
Oh, boy. Yeah, I mean, it's a real kind of fucked up, crazy tale of this kind of...
It's a dark ride.
It's a dark ride. It's a dark ride, you know, and, you know, people who go to Disneyland a lot, you got to worry about them. You know what I mean? Like, are they a part of a cult? Like, can they stop at any time they want?
Disney adults? Don't trust a single one.
They can't. You ever fought a ghost Goofy? That fucker's tricky.
Yeah.
You know, here's what I don't get is, like, Ghost Goofy is a ghost dog and Ghost Pluto is also a ghost dog. But Ghost Pluto is Ghost Mickey's pet, while Ghost Goofy is Ghost Mickey's friend. It's very confusing.
That's a great question to mull over as they're all eating you next time you're at Disney.
Yeah, that's what I
do think Dark Ride continues to be fucked up, but also enjoyable. So
here's one Dark Ride you're gonna want to take.
There we go.
Yep. Incredible Hulk number 4 from Marvel, written by Philip Kennedy Johnson, art by Travel Foreman. Speaking of traveling places, Travel Foreman. This is a horror book where the Hulk is dealing with some horror stuff. I think I've run out of steam at this point. You guys take it away.
No.
Oh, wow.
Alex, you're full of steam. I always say.
You always call me your little teapot.
Yeah,
I'm
exactly.
full of steam.
You're shorter than I thought in stout.
All right.
Well, you don't like that, is it?
Too far.
From our Baltimore Comic Con. Alex is shrinking. So there's a 2-issue, back-to-back issues of
Pete
Travel
thought
Foreman.
I was taller. I just want to say for the record, Pete thought I was taller.
Yeah, you felt taller because I'm not looking at you at screen. I saw you in real life, and
you think Pete also didn't get shorter? Like, of course.
I didn't. Did I get shorter?
No.
Yeah, you guys your bones are getting more dense as you get older.
I don't know. Anyways,
you, though.
Incredible Hulk number 4
guys
is
are older
amazing.
than me.
It's an amazing issue.
I'm the baby of this podcast. I'm the young one.
Yeah. Let me explain how it works. Baby.
Explain it to me.
Can we talk about this amazing issue? Philip Johnny Johnson is killing this book. It's unbelievable what he's doing here.
Agreed. What I was saying is this issue and the next one are fill-in artist Travel Foreman, which I think is a fun, in this Man-Thing 2-issue arc, it looks like, which is fun. Man-Thing, great horror foil to have here. We get Man-Thing like ripping the Hulk to shreds, basically, lighting him on fire. And then a second later, he's like, hey, I was just sort of wanted to talk to you about the Nexus where I live is in real trouble, buddy. So I thought that was fun. I like the relationship between Bruce and his sort of traveling sidekick who has problems of her own. We talked to Philip Kennedy Johnson at Baltimore Comic-Con, and he's got a lot of great things coming up in this book.
Yeah. First off, super type bananas art here. I love this whole thing of like Man-Thing kind of like absorbing Banner and then him turning, spoilers, but turning into the Hulk and exploding kind of out of Man-Thing here. Just crazy panels. Love the action. Yeah, I think that this is kind of horror, but also Hulk in a way that's very interesting and unique. And yeah, I'm having a blast with this. It's really super scary type bananas.
Last but not least, The Call, number 2 from Image Comics, written by Kelly Thompson, art by Mattea De Luis. This is following a bunch of kids who discover a portal to another world. Got in flashes of a bunch of other things in the first issue, including something that happens that leads some horrific kaiju-style monsters seemingly coming out of that portal at some point. But here we're catching up with them as they decide to go into the portal. They start to explore this world as they look for one of their members' missing brother. There's also an implication that potentially some other folks are missing as well. The first issue was one of my favorite first issues I've read in a really long time. So I was a little nervous about this one, but I really think it holds up. This is a perfect beginning to a fantasy, supernatural inflected teen movie. We get to know a lot more about the characters, a little more about the world. There's some more weird mysteries, and the art is stunningly detailed.
Really great art.
Yeah. I continue to be really impressed by this title.
You travel to a strange world. You don't know if you're going to get out. How long does it take till you're having sex on the ground?
Yeah,
like
exactly.
The characters in this book.
Got like 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It happens pretty fast here.
Yeah, I was kind of like, there's way too much going on. And also, like, would you follow a kind of weird looking cat that then turns into a furry? Like, I don't know if I would. You know what I mean? I might go the opposite direction.
I would, start having sex as I'm going through the portal, and B, I'd be like, hey, furries.
Portal sex.
Furries. Any
Portal
furries
sex
here? I want to
right.
follow you wherever. So that's my
Pete, you're a cat guy. You'd follow the cat.
Just to be clear, we're not talking about Crawl 2. This isn't the sequel to Crawl. This is Call. So, I don't want anybody.
There's a glaive in the book, though, which is interesting.
It's a great clarification, Pete. Thank you, editor LePage. But this art, the art in this book is fantastic, and I'm really engaged by this story as well. It has, young people traveling to a strange world. It's a little more fantastical than like Stranger Things, and a little more like the kids are a little older. So that's great because the relationships are a little more complicated.
Yeah, Kelly Thompson is an amazing writer, and this continues to be really an impressive book.
And that is it for the stack. If you'd like to support this podcast and all the podcasts we do, patreon.com/comic book club. Also, we do a live show every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. to Facebook and YouTube. Coming out, we would love to chat with you about comics. Apple, Spotify, Android, or the app of your choice to subscribe, listen, and follow the show at Comic Book Live on Twitter/X, Comic Book Club Live on TikTok and Instagram, comicbookclublive.com for this podcast and many more. Until next time, we'll see you at the Comic Book Club.
Is that you're doing that for all of it? No,
I'll tell you what. I thought about it this weekend over at Baltimore.
You were like,
Comic-Con,
why don't I do this?
Why have I not been saying this for 16 freaking years?
Well, see, the thing is I like the way you were doing it before because it would be cool to run into somebody at a comic book shop, you know?
Yeah, but we're comic book club.
Yeah, we're the
that
club.
part's super clear. I don't think anybody is listening going, what is the name of this?
And just to be clear, you guys can't bump into each other anywhere for like 6 months.
I think we're the gargoyles of Gotham. I think that's what's going on.